I have grown my Instagram to over 130,000 followers in the last 8 months. In this video, I will give you 8 tips to get your first 10,000 followers. Tip 1 is to keep your content consistent. You don't want to be posting content that's not related to your niche. Your Instagram account should be focused on one specific niche. If you're posting content that's coming from different niches, then you're going to have followers who are following you for one type of content, and you'll have other followers who are following you for other types of content. And what happens is when you post content, some of your followers will engage well with it, but a lot of your followers don't engage well with it. And it results in your views staying low. Whereas if you keep the style of your content consistent and you keep it within a specific niche, then all of your followers will be following you for that type of content. And it can help you to maintain higher views on your content. But it's still important that the content that you're making is engaging content. If it's not performing well, then you need to change the type of content. But once you find posts or reels that do perform well for you, then you want to keep making more posts and reels that are similar to the posts and reels that have been doing well for you. You only want to change what you're posting when it's not performing well. If it's performing well, don't change anything. Just keep posting more of what's performing well for you. You might think that posting the same type of content is going to be too repetitive. However, your followers are following you for that type of content. If you keep posting that type of content, it will actually usually continue to perform well. A good example of this is the account Vloggy. Vloggy posts spoken videos in the men's self-improvement space, and you'll see that all of his videos have a very consistent style to it. It has the deep AI voice, and it has movie footage or quite similar footage on all of the reels, and they all have a very similar aesthetic, and the topics are all very similar to each other. But his followers are following him for that type of content. So when he posts more of it, it continues to perform well. Just quickly guys, I made a free Framer landing page template. It features the overlapping customer images, the infinite brand slider, a card for video testimonials, cards for regular testimonials, the crossed out pricing, and more. You can find it in the link in the description. Tip number 2 is to observe what's working. If you try to come up with your own ideas of what's going to go viral, it almost certainly is not going to go viral. It's better to create your own variations of content that has recently gone viral. And ideally, the content should have gone viral as recently as possible. Ideally within the last 2 weeks. And it would be very nice if it went viral on a small account. If you find a post that went viral on a small account within the last 2 weeks, then that's a really good topic to make a video on. If you're able to take proven content and then put it into a new format, such as what Vloggy has done, Vloggy's videos are all based on viral content that has already gone viral in the past. He's taking those scripts and then he's putting it into his style, and that's allowing him to perform really well. Tip number 3 is to post as much as you can, but without compromising on quality. A lot of people think that if they post more, then they're going to get punished by the algorithm for posting too much, but that's not true. The problem is where if you post more content and the quality deteriorates, in that case, then your views are going to decrease. Another thing to remember is that a lot of your audience won't see your content anyway. With how the algorithm is now, it's based on engagement. Just because you post content, it doesn't mean that all of your followers are going to see it. Tip number 4 is that quality equals content that's likely to get good engagement. The things that people usually think equals high quality, such as how good the resolution of the video is, how nice it looks, and how crisp it sounds, isn't actually what really matters. Those things can help, but what really matters is how engaging the content is. You can have a reel where the resolution is bad and the audio quality is bad, but if it's based on an engaging topic and it's able to get good engagement, then that is a high quality reel. Engaging means that it's based on a good topic, it's able to get lots of shares, it has a good hook, and it's able to keep a high watch percentage. Tip number 5 is that the amount of effort that you put into the content doesn't actually matter. Just because you put a lot of hours into making a reel, it doesn't mean that the reel's going to go viral. You can put hours into making a reel and it gets no views. On the other hand, you can put 5 minutes into making a reel and it gets millions of views. My own highest viewed reel that got 15 million views only took me about 5 minutes to make. It's the topic of the post that really matters. 90% of the success of a post is the topic and the hook that you use in the post. All the other stuff isn't as important as the topic and the hook. So ideally, you want to try and have a system where you can create the content easily whilst not sacrificing on how engaging it is. Tip number 6 is that shares are particularly important. If you post a post or a reel and it's able to get a high amount of shares, then it has a high chance that it's going to go viral. So you want to look at reels in your niche that are getting particularly high amounts of shares. And ideally, you want to see that there are at least as many shares as there are likes. If you see a reel where there's as many shares as there are likes, then that will often get a lot of views. To get a lot of shares, often it works well to share resources in your niche, such as ChatGPT prompts, YouTube channels in your niche, books in your niche, or websites in your niche. Tip number 7 is that spoken reels will often get less views, but they will actually get more followers. On Instagram right now, it's easier to get a lot of views with short content that's less than 8 seconds and where you don't speak in the reel. However, if you compare one of those reels that go viral with a spoken reel that goes viral, usually the spoken reel will get a lot more followers. And on my own channel, my spoken reels that went viral are the ones that actually brought in most of the followers. So in a very ideal scenario, you would be able to find a spoken format that consistently does well for you. And then you just keep creating those types of spoken reels. And that can increase your follower count really quickly, exactly like what happened to Philorgi. Philorgi got over 1 million followers within 40 days. Tip number 8 is that when you have hardly any followers, you need to be consistent. When you don't have that many followers, the content that you're making might not be getting shown to your ideal audience. So if your content isn't getting good engagement, it might actually be the case that it is good content, except it's just not getting shown to the right people yet. And so that's why it's important to maintain consistency when you're just starting out. To help get your content in front of the right people, it can help to interact with other accounts in your niche, such as by leaving comments on their reels and their posts. With that being said though, it still might not be the case that your content is actually engaging. If you've done more than 60 posts and you are engaging with accounts in your niche, and none of your posts or reels have gotten more than about 5,000 views, then it's going to be a sign that your posts aren't that engaging and that you need to improve the posts. And in that case, you really need to be looking at accounts in your niche and seeing what they're doing differently to you. And in particular, you need to be trying to find content that has gone viral recently in your niche and then base your content off of that content.